Coming up today on Locked On at Texas Tech, Joey McGuire puts the nation on notice. Next on Locked On Texas Tech.
You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We're going to start this thing off right. Raider! Everything runs through Lubbock.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network. And thanks for making us your first listen on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. Today's episode brought to you by Gametime. So download the Gametime app and create an account right now and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. He's the only Chris Level. I'm Casey Cowan. And Chris, here we are, man. Final day of the final week of the offseason. Game week is almost upon us. When we reconvene, that will be the case. And you can probably feel it in the air as September is approaching. And before we get into a couple of things here today to wrap up our week, that being partly our CNC Electric Factory preseason notables, we've got to complete our list, and we're talking breakout star today. Somebody that maybe was a starter last year or factored in a way that we got to know, but expecting them to really take the next step this season. We're going to get to that coming up. And also, I don't know, just an update on anything that you might be asking about out there. Just any update, something specific or something not, just an update maybe at the end of the show. But first, Chris, let's revisit the Red Raider kickoff luncheon from just a couple of days ago. We talked about the Big 12 commissioner's appearance on yesterday's show, but also a pretty important guy at the mic after Brett Yormark, that being Texas Tech head coach Joey McGuire.
Have a very good football team, and they're tired of hitting each other. We hit a point yesterday that I could feel that they were like, Coach, this camp has been tough. And I'm telling you, being a Red Raider, you've got to be that number one part of the brand, the toughest. You can't be tough without doing tough things. So I promise you, we have had an extremely tough camp. And they're like, all right, Coach, now it's time to go hit somebody else. And so they are really hungry. We have a really, really strong football team, and they cannot wait to play Wyoming. I know Gio wanted to talk to Tyler because there's connection and everything, but that's probably the first time I've ever heard anybody in our building say anything about week 2 because we're focused on week 1. We play on CBS at 5:30, 6:30 here, and the nation is going to get to see what we are all about. We're going to put the brand on display. We're going to be the toughest, hardest working, most competitive team. And I can't wait to play Wyoming because I want the rest of the nation to understand their own notice because the Red Raiders are ready to take control of this conference. And Kirby said it. There is an opportunity. It's one of my favorite words. There's an opportunity to put the Red Raiders at the forefront of this conference. And I don't want to wait till 2024 when it's a new conference because it's more important to do it in 2023 when those old two are still here so they can understand exactly who runs the Big 12.
We are on notice.
There's an opportunity as well. Yeah. I think the old Pokes from Wyoming are kind of in the crosshairs right now. You know, you heard Joey mention right there that that there was a question asked about Tyler Shuck, which a lot of us have kind of hinted at or asked that about. Oh man, an Oregon game coming up, and there's this connection. You used to play there, didn't you? So how does that feel and all that? And they're really obviously, the Wyoming game is just a bit tricky, but I think Joey continues to tell you he's got a good football team. I don't know how good yet, and I don't think any of us know how good yet because I think if you want to win a conference championship, I think you need to go from good to, into great. There's just not going to be much margin for error here as your season rolls along because it's not the round robin. So, you could have a really nice conference record, but somebody else could have a better one, but have on paper a much easier schedule. So, it's going to be kind of a fascinating season because of the departures, because of the arrivals, and because I think Joey feels like he's got a really good football team. And I think he's told you that since the first day of spring and has never wavered from that. So we shall see. And you mentioned air. Football is in the air. I'm ready for cooler air. And so 1 week from today, I'll be in Fort Collins, Colorado.
That's right.
And I would expect the air to be much, much cooler than it is here in lovely. And I love me some West Texas, right? I just don't like West Texas as much when it's 105 degrees outside like it has been lately. So,
hey, I think you're in luck. Only around 95 today. So brisk
cold
chill.
front
Chill is coming through the 806. Chris, we're at the end of fall camp. And I think sometimes it's just maybe glossed over as a fan. I know I do it. Just the transition from camp to season and kind of the point at which we are now where you really have to kind of regather yourself and recalibrate as a team and I guess begin to focus maybe more outward than inward. Like you heard Coach McGuire talk about there and, any high school football team in the state going through 2-a-days or half a 2 or half a 1. I don't know what they let them go through now, but you get it. You're tired of hitting one another. You want to hit somebody in a different colored shirt, right? So this weekend here, as you begin to turn your attention to an actual opponent, has got to be quite the relief for the football team after camp has been going on and on and on. But I would say it's also got to be a little bit of a mind shift or a perspective adjustment a little bit, the way that you're going to approach an actual game week when you've got a target elsewhere versus, well, we're getting ready for another week in camp. I mean, I really think it's something different between the years whenever you flip that switch and, hey, it's on. The lights are about to be on for real.
Yeah, I think once you get into your game week routine and they're in that now or starting that process of kind of the way things are going to look, I think it breaks up the monotony. We even joked about Joey kind of doing the mock game week. And again, it's to kind of just break up the monotony of the grind of things. You still have to get through the grind. The grind is what makes you a team, and there's a price to be paid. But I think that trying to get into meetings and because their first day of class, everybody's first day of class was, I guess, yesterday. But and they're going to leave a day early because of class next week, as we've talked about. So, but this is what these guys. Let's be honest. Jalen Hutchings and Tony Bradford, they didn't come back here to go through a long, tiring grind of an offseason. That's not why you do this. Yes, you have to do that, and you have to pay attention to that and how you work through that because it affects how you will play. They came back for what is on tap next Saturday and the Saturday after that and the Saturday after that. And that's what's, there's a fun part to this too and a reward for it. To being able to go out there and put the uniform on and shoot off the fireworks and under the brand new lights with the new sound system and all the stuff that comes with it. That's why they came back. They didn't come back to have to go through a month worth of practice and 95 to 105 degree weather. But so, yeah, as you see that on the horizon, you're like, okay, now we've weathered the 9-month off season and all the weights, all the running, all the conditioning, all the nutrition, all that stuff. It's almost here.
That's right. And that goes for us as well. All the weathering that's what you lift all them weights for. That's what you drink all them off-season beers for. The time is now. Okay, we're sticking with Red Raider football. Coming up next, we're going to complete our conversation that we've been having this week, the last half of the week. CNC Electric Factory preseason notables. We've talked impact freshmen, pardon me. We've talked sleepers, and today we're talking breakout stars, guys that were either starters last year or maybe just factoring into a rotation, but we really expect to become household names this season and maybe guys that are flirting with all conference lists, things like that. So we've got our final two choices coming up next on Locked On Texas Tech. First, today's episode brought to you by Gametime. And buying tickets to your favorite event shouldn't be a stress-inducing experience, but if you've ever done it, you know it can be, especially last minute. But not with Gametime. Gametime is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for sports, concerts, and much, much more. Not just fast, secure, and easy to use, but you're also going to find unbeatable deals on last-minute tickets. And with their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing and start pre-gaming. Download the Gametime app today and rest easy with the Gametime guarantee, knowing you're always going to get the best prices, and you can have them in a flash delivered straight to your phone. Snag tickets without the stress with Gametime, and just download the Gametime app today, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today for last-minute tickets and the lowest price, guaranteed. Thanks for making Locked On Texas Tech a part of your day, whenever, wherever, however you're making it happen. We love you for it. And I never say that, so you know I mean it today. Truthfully, from me to you. A lot of love there, joining us every day. Be one of those everydayers next week. If you've been waiting around off-season, you're like, I don't even know what they're talking about during the off-season. Off-season is over, so now you can know it's Red Raider football, hot and heavy from here on out, all the way through what? I don't know, January or so. And to wrap up the offseason, we are wrapping up our preseason notables list here today. Chris, we've been going through it the last few days. We started with impact freshmen. You and I went with Michael Dingle and Chapman Lewis. Then we got to some sleepers. You and I went with Jacob Rodriguez and Tyler Owens. And now we are on to some potential breakout stars. Guys that you might have seen before, could have been a starter last year, but maybe they just haven't taken that next step to become really a foundational piece, or maybe an all-conference kind of piece. Here's how they lie, boys. The final two choices for the week. Rusty Stats, Joseph Adidere. Now, nobody told me who they had to start for a season ago. So technically, Rusty Stats was a starter, though not for the team that we covered. But Chris, I've heard so much about this guy. We've talked so much about this guy ourselves this offseason. He was brought in literally to shore up the middle of the offensive line, and the impact, I think, is still obviously yet to be understood, because you're also thinking about freeing up a guy like Dennis Wilburn, now maybe more so at his more natural position. All the impact that could come with the addition of Rusty Stats, only time will tell. But I am very excited about this guy, and I know that people won't think maybe about an offensive lineman as a breakout star. But on Locked On Texas Tech, the Offensive Linemen's podcast, we do think about an offensive lineman in that capacity. What do you think about my choice of Mr. Rusty Stats?
Yeah, he did start last year. It just wasn't here. And I do think he could be a potential star this year. So he does fit that category. He just he wasn't in a position to start here last year. He was doing that at Western Kentucky. But I think this has been Coach McGuire even talked about that again at the luncheon the other day. He just talked about the offensive line and how, we've talked in recent week or so about they don't have to hold back as many tight ends. The running backs are doing things a bit differently. You don't have to run the quarterback as much, and it's all predicated around the offensive line, and namely, Rusty and Cole and Dennis and being in their natural spots and things like that. But yeah, I think Rusty is the one that allows you to move people and do some different things and then play at a bit of a faster pace. So I love the choice, and I'll get into my choice now. And these are fun exercises, especially when there's no right or wrong answers. It's fun to try to figure out. And so I want to take just a brief second to talk about the guys that I also considered.
Yeah.
And I didn't go – I tried to keep guys that were on the roster from last year, so I probably failed at the exercise. I
cheated at the exercise.
I know. Well, you outflinked me. Yeah, that's right. I think Jerron Bradley is kind of an easy answer here, I guess it was so obvious that I purposely didn't choose it because he was kind of an emerging guy last year. He was a starter. He's a first-team preseason all-conference guy. Statistically, he's one of the best receivers coming back in the Big 12 conference. And I thought it was so obvious that I didn't go. But I want to, he is a potential to fit the category here. Starter last year, star this year, ? I think absolutely possibly could be. The other guy, a bit off the radar, And I'm not just going to say this because of his awesome dad listens to our podcast all the time.
But that helps.
Yeah, it does hurt. But I'm just such a huge fan of this kid. And I do, I was sitting there at the luncheon the other day, and Zach Kitley walked up to me, and we were talking. He was talking to John Harris and I, just seeing how we were doing, and we started talking a little football. And he kind of started mentioning the tight ends, and he just said, "Man, Mason Tharp has been a beast in camp. He's just been an absolute beast." And this is somebody that's missed some games, and he's had some injury issues and things like that. But I mean, as far as measurables go, I mean, it's incredibly off the roof with this kid. I mean, 6'9", 270. Runs well. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's like you just don't see guys that are this big, this long. And he's the nicest human. So I think he's got a chance to really be a big time piece in this offense again if he stays healthy. But I'm going to go with the data Ray. I think he's a star. I think he's absolutely a star. They talked about redshirting him, trying to extend his career, and playing him against Oregon and Texas and maybe Kansas State and TCU or something and still redshirting him. Not going to happen. Have no chance to be able to do that. He's too good. He's a monster. I think, in a couple of years, this is an NFL guy. I really do.
Wow.
He's got quick twitch. He's just – and, again, he's a true sophomore. That's why Joey was wanting to try to sneak some more time on campus out of him. And maybe you can do that down the line, but you're just not going to be afforded that luxury this year because he's just too good. I just don't think you can live with him standing over on the sideline against whoever. I just think he's too good of a player. And
good for him, man. Unable to be denied. That's all on him.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just wild. When you told me that was going to be your choice, I was just thinking about where we've come from, which did include some conversation about like the word red shirt, but he was definitely flashing last year, so that was a little bit difficult to process. And I guess at the end of the day, I'm glad that we've gotten here where it's so undeniable that he's one of your best guys. You need him on the field that we're not even going to explore that conversation anymore.
and I think the red shirt thing all came from a place of we want to keep this guy here as long as we can.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's because he was so good last year. Yep. And he played as a true freshman. I think that's why you feel like, okay, can we sneak one in here? Can we still squeeze 4 games out of him and then not use him so we can, extend his career here? But it's because he kicked the door down last year, and he was the best freshman you had on your team. And so I think that's kind of, it's kind of twofold there. But I just, he's a handful, man. He is an absolute handful. And honestly, newcomer-wise, you mentioned Rusty. If you've paid attention to the NFL draft folks that are starting to highlight some things about the upcoming season and guys that, our man Steve Linton is getting a lot of love out there from folks that have nothing to do with Texas Tech, that cover the NFL draft permanently, that are saying, watch out. There's an edge guy in Lubbock, and he could be one of the top 10 edge rushers taken. So, a lot to choose from there.
Let us know, agreement, disagreement, some of your candidates as well in the YouTube comments, as we have wrapped up now our CNC Electric Factory preseason notables multi-level 3-day experience. And the electricity continues, however. We're not shutting down the factory. We've got more to get to, including wrapping up the week with an update. Do you remember the name Micah Hudson? Sounds like some of you do. Chris is raising his hand. Very good, Chris. Very good, Chris. We're going to explore what's going on with this name next on Locked On Texas Tech. Glad to have you along for the ride on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network with Chris. I'm Casey Cabanaccia from west of the 100th Meridian, where it's really going down. And we are wrapping up the week with a question that really was questions from, I don't know, everybody in the audience within the YouTube comments. We're dipping back in for a thought from, again, I just would have to say, I suppose, everybody. Here it is, Chris. Now, I've paraphrased a little bit. You may notice if you're looking on the screen. Micah Hudson, ? Signed everyone. Chris, what do you know that we need to know? Because we've gotten peppered with this. I mean, a question about Micah Hudson for days, weeks, months now, since it seemed like something was imminent but never came to pass publicly.
Yeah, and I did think it was imminent. I think you did too. I think we all kind of in that circle felt like it was something that was going to happen. I don't know, Calvin. What was that? Mid-June, maybe.
Yeah.
And there were some official visits rolling through here, including his. Okay, so here's what I would say about just the Micah Hudson topic is that. I do think Texas Tech is, and again, I feel like I'm covering one side of the story or one side of this. I know that there are folks in Austin or in College Station that may have a different opinion, different view, and that's fine. I can only come at it from the Texas Tech standpoint on what I think that I know, and I think Texas Tech is in phenomenal shape here as it relates to this recruitment. I also think you have to offer up that there is no guarantees with any of this stuff until pen meets paper and the fax machine is on and rolling in and all those kinds of things. But I think that what has happened here is that so the timing is really what is being asked about here, Calvin. I think on kind of the timing. Okay, why? Why is the timing changed? Is the timing different than it was? All those things. I remember being told back when it looked pretty good for Texas Tech and Micah Hudson. I remember being told at the onset, it's not going to surprise me if he tells somebody what he's going to do in the summertime and then he doesn't make it public until, the day before the early signing period or the day or the morning of whatever, kind of the hat ceremony type deal, all that stuff. And I don't think that was the original plan, but maybe we're headed there. I also think that you have a situation to where if he is going to end up at Texas Tech, I think that you don't do anything to help the situation out publicly by committing now that some time has passed, because this class is largely put together. You have one-ish, two-ish spots left to fill. Maybe ironically enough, with another wideout, since the kid from Odessa is going to go to Oklahoma, so you've got room for an additional wideout. That doesn't affect Micah Hudson's spot. So what I mean by this is if you wait till do this late, you actually give some serious rub to the next recruiting class that you put on paper and create some momentum there. I think there's some method to the madness there. I really do. And I can't tell you specifically that is the reason. I've been told that is kind of in play here. So you make of all that what you want to, recruiting fan, Micah Hudson fan, Texas Tech fan. We'll see what happens. I can't guarantee anything on this deal. I think anybody that does is setting themselves up, because there's just no guarantees. I do know this. We had pool party gate 3 or 4 weeks ago. Right. A&M was like, he's going to be here. He's at our pool party. Why would you not? And then Texas Tech's having this pool party up here and all that in late July, I guess it was. Well, he was in Lubbock, and so he wasn't in College Station. And so, I get all the people are kind of annoyed with it. People are intrigued and excited about it. He's the 6th best player in the country. This is a unique circumstance. If he wants to go to a pool party or he wants to wait on his decision, guess what? This is what he's going to get to do. So,
and he's already shown some wisdom choosing a Red Raider pool party over an Aggie pool party, no question.
I would think so. So that's what I can offer up. I think we'll kind of sit tight here. I do think if he's going to commit to Texas Tech, this is what I'll say to finish this up. If he does commit to Texas Tech, it will be very strategic on how it could best help the Red Raiders in the future. Okay? And if that's before this football season, if that is just after the season ends, if that's right before signing day, whenever that is, that's my opinion on exactly when the button gets pushed and we all kind of see graphic video. That there's a slash in between it, not a graphic video, but a social media graphic,
A graphic video,
and then a video or whatever else is coming down the pike.
Yeah.
On all that stuff. So anyway,
Interesting.
yeah, that's what I would say. So because it's all about the way these kids want to present it, with a social media graphic and
Oh,
the way the
God,
school
yeah.
wants to present it. And
Good
a lot of
God.
kids, they come up with the edit or the video that they've put together on announcing the decision. Some of them are awesome. Some of them are like, huh?
Corny as
but
hell.
yeah,
The
exactly.
Kansas
but,
basketball player that did that last time around.
what,
King Corny.
yeah, the kid that transferred from Michigan, is that who you're talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah. I think that's who it was.
Yeah.
He did like a whole one-act play. Real
It's
cute.
like, yeah, it's overthought. Just go to Kansas, man. Just
Yeah.
take your bag of money, go to Kansas,
You're
where
good.
you're
I wonder if at a Aggie pool party, do they also keep a pile of manure by the gate to keep the flies off the ladies? Just like at an Aggie wedding?
It's a good question. I don't know.
And I can say these things. I dated an Aggie equestrian once upon a time. I've seen how homely they are up close. So I can tell you, we've all made mistakes. I'm proud to own that. I'm not proud, but I will own it. But I can tell you firsthand how homely they are up close. So I can say that. Chris, what a phenomenal week. What a phenomenal offseason, my friend. I didn't even notice it. I felt like I was still in Mexico talking to you about a Texas Bowl win. Was that just yesterday? I don't even know when the offseason came and went, but I enjoyed it all.
If we were pregnant, our baby would be about to be born because that was 9 months ago, man. So locked on. Yeah, we're birthing football season babies.
Do we have an announcement? Are we birthing a conference title contender?
That's
Possibly.
right. That's right. Yeah.
Those are the noises you're going to hear coming from Marcia Sharp and University Avenue. All right, we're back on the other side on Monday for a game week. We're kicking it off as Wyoming is fitting the description of the first potential victim, and looking forward to that. Plenty to get to on the other side of the weekend. Hope you have a fantastic final, get lubed up kind of weekend. Get the muscle memory going. The season is here, all right? So if you're just now kind of getting in form, getting in shape, it may be too late, but still a few days for some practice. So take advantage of your time, and we'll be back on Monday to get ready for the Cowboys. Chris, looking forward to it, man. Thanks for all the time and insight this week, as always.
Guns up, people. Keep hope alive, man. Enjoy the weekend.
We're back on the other side, so hope you'll join us on Monday and subscribe on YouTube if you haven't so far so you never miss an episode. For Chris, I'm Casey. We'll see you then on Locked On Texas Tech.